get it over with tonight. Knock them out, and let me bring out the broom at the end of the broadcast.
Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Closer Look across the Village Media Network and wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can sign up on YouTube, subscribe to the show, closerlookpodcast.ca. Sign up there as well. We'll send you episodes each and every night, 6 days a week with Michael Friscoletti, our editor-in-chief here at Village Media. I'm Scott Sexsmith. I notice we're wearing blue.
Yes.
What's blue? I mean, yes, we look like a glee club, but there's a reason why.
Are we going to sing?
No,
we're not. Jamie Campbell from Sportsnet. He is here.
He's here.
He's ready to chat.
Yeah.
Super busy guy. Obviously, lots going on apparently in his world.
Well, he's got a game in about an hour's time that he's getting set to host. So very good that he took some time to speak to us.
I'm excited about this conversation. I love baseball. I love the job he does. He does a great job.
He's fantastic.
And he has one of those really interesting jobs where he sits kind of in a fishbowl every day at the park when they're playing at home, kind of in that desk behind left field. And I just can imagine the stories that come out of that being your office every day.
Yeah.
But
talk about open concept.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And you have all kinds of interactions with people. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Obviously, this is a great time to be a Blue Jays fan.
Yeah.
They're playing unbelievable. They just destroyed the Yankees over the weekend. And there is a sense of national pride even more than ever with this team. This has always been Canada's team.
Yeah.
I remember once my old job, I did spend a few days with the old GM, Alex Anthopoulos.
Right.
And for a profile I wrote. And I remember him telling me that he wishes that they weren't the Toronto Blue Jays, that they were called the Canada Blue Jays. And he goes, that was a mistake. But Montreal existed at the time, so they couldn't couldn't name the team that. He goes, because they go on the road shows before the season starts, or they have different players go visit, Saskatoon and Calgary. Yeah. And the fan bases out there are just as big as in Toronto. Like people
they're huge.
They love the Blue Jays, right? And so with what's going on with the United States, renewed rhetoric from the president about 51st state. Today, Mark Carney's at the White House talking tariffs.
That's right.
There's a lot. National pride is a little bit higher than it usually is, and I think they've really, even the fact that these guys aren't Canadian on this team, they've put all that into the Toronto Blue Jays, and they really want this to end today. And I think this is a great opportunity to speak to someone who knows this team better than anybody else.
Absolutely. And tonight, the Blue Jays go for a sweep against the Yankees. The Toronto Blue Jays have a commanding 2-0 lead over the New York Yankees, and tonight they'll be looking for the sweep as the series shifts to New York. Joining us tonight to talk about that and a lot more is the host of Blue Jays Baseball on Sportsnet, Jamie Campbell. Jamie, welcome to the show. Great to see you.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me.
All right, got to ask you right out of the gate, how are you holding up through all this? You've been the face of the team on television for years. Is it hard not to get caught up in the hype?
I get caught up. I've been getting caught up since 1977. Mm-hmm. So it's funny how so many people expect a broadcast like ours, which is literally titled Blue Jays Central, for example, to be balanced at all times. Mm-hmm. And in some circles, balance is important. Hockey Night in Canada, for example, if you're doing a game between the Maple Leafs and the Senators, or the Flames and the Edmonton Oilers on a Saturday night, there needs to be a balance there. But I like to believe that since there's been, one team in Canada for decades, and going back to 77, just two teams in this country at the time, and our broadcasts are entirely devoted to a single team, that balance is difficult. Mm-hmm. And for me to sit here and say I'm not a fan of the Blue Jays, well, I'm here doing what I do because I was a fan of the Blue Jays from the time I was 9 years old. So it would make sense for me to carry that fandom into what we're witnessing here in 2025. I try not to give too much of that away on the air, but it's impossible for me to sit at the Rogers Center with 44,000 people and not be moved by what's happening on the field, especially the way the last two games went.
That makes total sense to me. I mean, for sure, you're not. I mean, I listen to my favorite sports teams, and I expect their announcers to have some to be cheering for that team or be rooting for that team. That's just the way it goes. Is it more difficult, Jamie, in those dark years when things aren't going so well to be doing that job? Is there a different vibe, obviously?
Well, the vibe is certainly different. You'd be shocked at how easy it is for me to continue to make a commitment to the job, in essence, because when I was 14 and 15 years old, I grew up in Oakville, about 40 minutes outside of Toronto. And as soon as the bell rang to end the school day, I was on a commuter train into downtown Toronto to go and hang out at hotel lobbies and wait for visiting players to come down. And then I'd go and spend my time at batting practice and then sit by myself mostly, almost exclusively, to watch a game and then catch the late train home and be walking into the house by about midnight. And so those are the days where I dreamed of something larger than what was presented to me at that time, perhaps a career in baseball. Mm-hmm. So when I look back on those days, it's easy to sit on set. In the case of last season, 2024, doing pregame and postgame shows for a fifth place baseball team. Mm-hmm. It's simple because what it is even though I'm 58 years old, every day that I get to sit in that chair is the achievement of a childhood dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if they're in first or if they're in last. To me, it's such a privilege to be able to do this, and it's almost as if someone, maybe a higher power, said, "Hey, at some point you're going to spend your entire life watching and being part of this baseball team's day to day, and someone's going to pay you for it." And sometimes I just hope nobody wakes up and realizes that I haven't worked a single day in my life.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, Jamie. It must feel like that. Like you're not going to work every night. You're going to play, and that's okay.
It is such a privilege to be able to wake up every day knowing you can't wait to get to work. I mean, if you think about how many people in this country can't stand the idea of going to work.
Yeah.
I often think my father, who worked in the shoe industry for over 40 years, as much as it put food on our table and clothes on our back, I'm not totally convinced that he loved what he did. And by design, there were times during my high school career where he encouraged me, in fact, dragged me off to one summer, to a leather cutting factory in Vaughan, Ontario, mm-hmm. to work 9-hour shifts with 15-minute breaks. And I know he did that to make me realize how important it is to strive for what it is you want, and to, in this case, I was in high school, go off to university, get the education that I needed, and then start pursuing that dream and see if I could make that work. I know he did that on purpose. He did it for my brother too. Mm-hmm. And that was a huge lesson for me in coming to the realization as a teenager that if you can find a way to make a living doing something you love, you've got it made.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. Thanks for sharing that, Jamie. All of us who know you see you in the same environment every day, right? Sitting behind that desk in the left field, behind the left field stands. Mm-hmm. It must be a little bit of a fishbowl environment, but tell us what it's like to be there. I mean, you must have all kinds of crazy stories about interactions with fans, but what's it like to sit in that spot?
It's, physically, it's almost like being a burger at a fast food joint. When they make the burgers in the back, they wrap them up and they put them under these heat lamps. That's what a bright sunny day at the Rogers Center, roof open, mm-hmm. as it's been the last 2 playoff games, and TV lights barreling down on you while wearing, in the case of Sunday, a 3-piece suit. Mm-hmm. It feels like you're a fast food burger, physically. And crazily enough, I'm dealing with a chronic disease. Mm-hmm. It has a major physical impact on me. I think Buck Martinez is 76 years old. I'm not sure I'm going to make it in this job until that age. I'd like to think I could, but I'm not so sure it's possible. That said, that's me finished complaining about it. There is no complaint. It is such a joy to see these faces that come by every single day. Sometimes the same faces, but mostly brand new ones who are overjoyed with what they're watching, overjoyed with what they're experiencing. And if there's a way that I could help make that experience just a little bit better, I will do it. If I have the time, if I'm not preoccupied with some kind of a meeting or some pregame research, I try very hard to spend as much time with what I call the customer. Because as much as we're doing a television show, I think it's more customer service than anything else. Mm-hmm. So I think it's my responsibility to do what I can to make the people who enter that stadium enjoy their experience a little more than they expected to. And not to mention the fact that you can have a huge impact on young people by inviting them in and making them feel so welcome. And maybe that opens up the eyes of a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old boy or girl as to where it is they want to direct their lives. You just never know how you might change the course of someone's life just by a simple interaction.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny you mention that because I've been to a number of games, Jamie, at Rogers Centre, and I've seen both you and Joe come out from behind the desk and interact and talk to fans and, smile for pictures. So I can absolutely attest to that. Want to talk about game day routines. We know that players have them. What's your game day routine? Can you kind of walk us through the process until
Sure.
the lights go up?
Absolutely. First things first, morning coffee. Okay.
Check.
Right. A big one first thing in the morning. And if all goes well, not another one the rest of the day. Secondly, as my family and friends know, I go into a bit of a game prep mode where on game days, I can be a little bit elusive. I think that comes from a fear that developed when I was much younger of not being good enough at the job. I've retained that for some reason, even as I push 60 years of age. It's not the worst thing to carry around because it means I'm totally committed every single day. I know that might sound odd. But my research is fairly simple. It probably takes between an hour and an hour and a half, and it's done on the set prior to the game. A lot of what I like to do is get down onto the field or into the clubhouse to speak with players. If there are things that I need to know, that's obviously a critical component. I do have a tendency to try not to bother players too often. I think there can be sometimes when someone's given a credential, this desire to go in and try and be friendly and chatty. And I know that they have a job to do, as I do. So my preference is to, if I need a piece of information or a word with someone, I try and make sure I'm not abusing the privilege of being able to access that. Mm-hmm. So, so then I end up on the set probably 2 hours before first pitch, and sometimes diligently work to get my preparation in order so that I do have time to go and visit with people that might be coming by, because they often open the gates to the stadium 2 hours before first pitch. So if I can get all my work done, that gives me more time to go and meet people who in many cases have traveled from quite a distance to get to that ball game. So it's busy. I can't deny that, I make sure my close friends know that, hey, if you think you want to come by, text me in advance. Don't assume that I have the time. And it's odd that we wear these earpieces where we're often listening to either the broadcast itself, if it's ongoing, and a producer and director. So in some cases, there might be 3 or 4 voices in our ears at any time. And I don't think people who walk by that set understand that for the most part, we can't hear them. And my eyesight's so bad at this age, I can't even see them, especially if those lights are bright. So I often fear that, that long lost friends or, I don't know, people I've been close to in my lifetime will come by and wave, and I won't even acknowledge them, in essence, because I can't see them or I can't hear them. So if anybody's watching this and has received that treatment from me, please know it's just because I was unaware that you were standing there in the first place.
That's amazing. And we do appreciate taking the time. Like you said, you have a very detailed routine before the game. It is a game night. So we won't give you much longer. Just a couple more questions. Appreciate it, Jamie.
I forgot one thing. This is crazy, but I brush my teeth before every broadcast because I have this notion that clean mouth means clean words.
That's right. So if we ever hear you not use a clean word, we know why. You forgot to brush your teeth. Yeah, good to know. Good lessons. I hope people, there's some educational value to this podcast today. People understand what's going on. Thanks, Jamie. We talked a little bit about the national pride and that this Toronto Blue Jays have become Canada's team. They're not just Toronto's team. And we have viewers and fans coast to coast. And just because of what's going on in the world today, rhetoric about the 51st state, tariffs. Ooh. Is there something? Is it feeling a little different, Jamie? The rivalry or the amount of national pride people are feeling a little different this time than say 2015 or back in the 90s?
You have just hit a nerve because those 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, when the Blue Jays were piling up runs on not the Chicago White Sox, not the Oakland A's, not the Kansas City Royals, the New York Yankees, the most accomplished team in the history of the game, and everybody's first enemy. I thought deeply about why the fervor in that stadium was at this pitch that I don't necessarily recall in 2015 and 2016. And then I started thinking about how this country celebrated so actively I forget what was called the Four Nations tournament, right? Yeah. The Four Nations tournament, something most of us had not even heard of 6 months before it happened. And when Canada beat the United States in overtime on Connor McDavid's goal, how it almost felt like us in this wild way standing up to this entity that wants to make us a state. And I couldn't help think about that as I was watching those baseball games over the weekend from my perch, thinking these people are so passionate about this at a level, again, that maybe it was because the roof was open. I don't know. I don't remember it being, except when Bautista hit the bat flip home run. That place shook like an earthquake had sort of disturbed the ground. But maybe it's just a different time, right? And here are the Blue Jays, Canada's last remaining major league team, beating the New York Yankees and doing so handily. And maybe there was way more to it than just baseball. Maybe there was a political edge to the way people were feeling about it. And if that's the release some of us need, some of us who, are uneasy and pissed off about some of what we're hearing from south of the border, then let it continue. Let's see more of it, on to the next.
Right on.
Let's see them eliminate New York and take care of whoever's coming next.
Jamie, years ago, when I started my career, I worked for a news director who once told me you should always be nervous before you turn the mic on and never lose that feeling. Do you still have that sense of nervousness just before a show?
It was nervousness in the early days. It's not nerves now. It's kind of a mix of excitement and I can't even think of the word to best describe the fleeting seconds prior to the opening of the broadcast where I ask myself, are we ready for this? Not me. Am I ready? I expect the control room to be ready and my analysts to be ready and everybody else. I can't control how other people prepare. I can only control how I prepare for it. So yes, nerves played long ago. It's not a nervousness anymore as much as it's maybe deep down, I'm just remembering being 14 again and saying to myself, you're lucky and fortunate to be here. Make sure it's all done as passionately as that kid would have done it too. So that might be more of a description as to what I feel when that light goes on.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Real quick, Jamie, I do want to ask you about health because you brought it up as well. And I very much respect the way you've treated some health issues you've dealt with. Cancer's kind of kicked the hell out of me for the last few years too, and it's been an up and down battle. And there's lots of people who watch the broadcast who've dealt with this as well. And you've been open. Basically, the message you're trying to send is, take care of yourself, look after yourself. Why is it important to you to share those stories with fans?
Well, as you would know, right? Cancer on many, many levels used to be a death sentence regardless. 40 and 50 years ago, it was sort of the final tap on the shoulder in so many instances. But we live in a different time where all the money that those wonderful people, my parents included, were able to raise when Terry Fox made his stand and moved a country. And all of those millions of dollars went into research that has been able to help people like you and I. And I realized in the first 48 hours of my diagnosis, January 11th, 2021, having no knowledge of what chronic lymphocytic leukemia really was beyond what I had just Googled, I did know, oddly, that Paul Henderson, the hero of 1972, had exactly that. And the first thing that occurred to me, again, without even checking his history on the internet, was that Paul Henderson is alive and well.
Yes.
So, and I was able to visit with him at his home about 3 weeks ago and tell him this personally.
Amazing.
Without even knowing the man. He gave me this sense of relief that I needed in that moment. So what I decided was, one, if I'm going to battle this thing, there might be days where I can't get to work. And I need people to know that. But more importantly, maybe if I can continue to go and sit in that chair every single day. So when you tune into a Blue Jays game and you see me every single day and I look reasonably healthy and reasonably fit, and you know that I'm fighting chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and maybe you get the same tap on the shoulder that I did, at the bare minimum, you can say, hey, that guy that I see when I watch the baseball game seems to be doing well. So maybe I'll do well too.
It's great. Yep.
And that's the real reason that I decided I wasn't going to be able to hide it. I mean, I had to go through radiation last summer. Thankfully, I didn't have to step away from the broadcast, but I might have if things had been a little bit different. And I just, I don't want people wondering if I'm not there, why I'm not there. But maybe more importantly, maybe I can be a little bit of a beacon for somebody. And I know I have, because I've heard from people who said, hey, I got the same diagnosis and you're the first person I thought of. And I felt so much better knowing I've got a great chance of winning this fight. So that was the most critical reason why I just decided I should probably publicize this.
It's an amazing story, Jamie. Thank you for sharing. It does help a lot of people understand it. There's just others that go through this battle. It's a battle.
Okay, it's game night. I'm sure you've got a ton of research to do or some prep work. Before we let you go, anything to add, Jamie? What's your gut tell you about tonight?
Well, anybody can win at any time. They're in New York and no longer in the comfortable environment of the Rogers Center. My suggestion to them being the Blue Jays, knowing that this kid Cam Schlittler is slated to start tomorrow night in Game 4, get it over with tonight. Knock him out, and let me bring out the broom at the end of the broadcast.
Well said. Jamie Campbell, you're one of the good ones. We'll be watching tonight, as will the rest of the country. Have a great show this evening, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys. It's a real pleasure to speak with you.
Did you get the feeling you could just sit and talk baseball all day long?
Oh, yeah.
Jamie.
And I didn't know that about him, that he was like a lifelong, like childhood would take
What a
the
great
GO train
story.
to that's an amazing, that he'd sit and watch batting practice by himself. There's a certain element of, I love baseball like that.
I know you do.
I would marry baseball. I love baseball.
Yeah.
And I could totally see, and I didn't have the opportunity to take the GO train in to watch Jays games, but I listened to them on the radio when I was a kid. Like I was the kid that listened to them on the radio.
Yeah,
at 7 years old.
Yeah.
Still love listening to baseball on the radio. And
there's a magic to it.
I didn't realize that about him all the years I've seen him on sport. Didn't realize that he had come from that he was such a fan as a kid. And imagine going from that to watching batting practice as Jamie Campbell, the host of Sportsnet. But obviously a super humble guy and respects the game and respects the fact that he has a very important job. And he's speaking to hundreds of thousands of Canadians every night. Like he is their first face when they turn on the broadcast, right?
Actually, I saw the numbers. Sportsnet released the numbers from the game on Sunday, and I think it was like 3.5 million viewers.
That's insane.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's great. And I think he got a little choked up talking about what's going on in the world today and what's happening with our neighbor to the south, right? And there's there is that feeling. He's right too. I never thought about that aspect too. They're not just beating the White Sox, they're beating the Yankees, right? They're beating the Yankees and they're beating them. They're wiping the floor with them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we talked about that first game. What was it, 10-1 the first game? And I thought, okay, the Yankees aren't going to come back and they're going to come back and do something. And then they just got whooped again. He's right in the sense that Yankee Stadium's a whole different place.
It is, yeah, for sure.
But the thing about the Yankees fans is they're harder on their team than anyone else.
I know.
So if they don't score a couple runs in the first few, they're going to start booing everybody, right? And they're harsher than the opposing teams.
Yeah.
I don't even know why you'd want to play for those guys. But
the best thing the Jays can do is jump out to a 3 or 4-0 lead.
Yeah, I think so.
And just silence the crowd and take them.
And
out.
Jamie's right too. Their rookie, we talk about the kid from the Jays who was phenomenal. They have a guy who knocked out the Red Sox, pitched 8 scoreless innings, right? I mean, there's some talent left in that on their bench as well. So I think he's right. I think tonight's a huge game.
It's going to be a big one, and it gets underway in a little over a half an hour from now. You can catch Jamie and Joe and Hazel and Dan and Buck and the rest of the crew on Sportsnet. It's Game 3 between the Blue Jays and the New York Yankees on Sportsnet. First pitch at 8:08 tonight. Okay. We're heading home to watch the game. Thank you for watching our show tonight. For Michael Friscolanti, editor-in-chief here at Village Media, I'm Scott Sexsmith. Go Jays. Have a great night. See you tomorrow night at 7 right here on Closer Look.
Frisco and Scott's Wardrobe provided in part by Moores, Sault Ste. Marie.